So again, not that I'm a universalist and everything is okay, ultimately for martial context, like rubber has to meet the road. And ideally we perform the technique in a way that's not just functional for me in this narrow context, right? But if you have a school, if you have a lineage, ideally the technique and its variations, and maybe that's why we need variations, right? The first way of doing Tan, Bong, whatever, is relevant for like 60% of situations. And, majority of people, 80–90% of students can perform it successfully in this way, in this context, maybe for straight strike, yeah? And let's say Tan, right? In the frontal way. But if the strike is coming from the side, lateral, right? More circular attacks, does this frontal performance of Tan suffice? I would say no, regardless of your size, unless you're huge, right? You have to modify it, right? You have to change the accent. And the analogy then, is like maybe instead of like a short frontal, maybe you have to continue that trajectory to go a little bit more out. So I often talk about spirals. To me, spirals and its variables actually allow a universal underlying unity among a diversity of techniques, right? So let's say, oh, Tan is this way or Tan is this way. Well, they're both named Tan, Tan, right? Different pronunciations, but it's like, this is different, right? I would say no. Actually, they're actually both. They look like different, but they're actually the different subsets, different arcs, segments of one spiral, right? So if I kind of do it more of the top-down view, right? You see, to me, this is all Tan, right? In Chinese, Tan means spreading. So it's kind of spreading the energy like this. You see that? If I stop really short in front of me, right? Maybe it looks just like that. But if I continue it, you see? And so you can say frontal Tan or side Tan, which is right or wrong. Oh, Tan shouldn't go out. Tan, or Tan should go out, right? So you may have an argument. One school is like, Tan is this. No, Tan is this, right? And to me, like, well, depend on the context. They're both Tan. And it's not even either or. I would say they're actually one thing, depending on your ability. You mentioned integrative biology. So this term, this adjective, can you integrate actually these differences with underlying principles? And to me, I use the geometric principle of spiraling a lot, because spirals underlie so much of nature. And I use nature again as another rubric besides geometry, the geometry of nature. For instance, spirals are in your DNA, right? And also at a small scale, as well as in the galaxies. A lot of phenomena also spirals in that context too. So from small to large scale, and us in between. So just to kind of be concise, technical performance varies depending on context, and that context could be context of interaction of attack, or the context could be the person's body type, or the context could be time. Like I did Tan this way for 5 years, but then 5 years later I actually varied it. So it could also be due to your own kind of expansion of awareness and application.